You're listening to All Things Video, the podcast dedicated to uncovering the past and charting the future of the online video ecosystem. You're listening to All Things Video. I'm your host, James Creech, and today's guest is Evan Britton, founder of Famous Birthdays. Evan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited we get to do this. We are both on opposite ends of LA. Normally I'd say, hey, we should hang out and, do this in person, but, we're still waiting on the last few weeks of COVID until everyone's vaccinated up. But it's nice to see you. And we've known each other for a few years, but I guess this is actually kind of our first chance to chat in depth. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Evan. So let's start off by zooming way out into your background and start off by talking a little bit about how you got your start in media and entertainment.
I've always been interested in UX and building websites. I even launched a website back in college. So I've always been trying to grow an audience and add value on the web. In early 2010, 2011, I had a few websites, but nothing was really growing. So I wanted to just pick one website to focus on. I didn't have the vision for Famous Birthdays materialized since I focused on it. But I've always been interested in it and excited to work on web-based projects.
Very cool. Yeah, it seems like your fascination with the web came early on, right? In early 2003, you launched your first venture, Site Launcher. I was curious, what inspired you to start that business?
That was basically just a way to help domain owners make money off their domain name. I wasn't really building like I did with Famous Birthdays. That was more of, people own these domain names and I help them to monetize them. It was fun early days to, right when the internet launched. I remember back in the late 90s, like it was pretty cool how anybody could register any domain name, it was available. So I didn't register any real good ones, but I helped some of those people kind of make money off of their domain. So
very cool. And had you always considered yourself an entrepreneur?
Yes. I think I've always been doing entrepreneurial projects. I think the internet, since it was just launching when I was graduating college, nobody could have more. It's kind of like when you're younger, there's people have more experience than you. But with the internet, that wasn't the case because it was just starting, which I found fascinating. So I think, I think that applying, like being excited, learning a lot about the internet right early on, kind of drove me towards entrepreneurship because it was so new.
Yeah, makes sense. Kind of levels the playing field because here's this huge shift in the way that we can create and transact business. And all of a sudden, you have as much experience as people who've been in business for years. That's cool.
I think some people it's a new thing, but now with the crypto, which is another way the web is growing, I think, a lot of institutions are coming in now. There's been reports, but I think a lot of the early adopters, I think they probably felt excited to learn about something new that nobody else could have known. And that was kind of how the internet was right when I was getting out of college. It was a whole new landscape. I remember how I put up a web page in college and I was traveling in Mexico. And I remember I pulled up the web page I put up in college on the computer from the hotel in Mexico. And I remember how fascinating that was, that I was in Mexico and I pulled up a computer that had the one page that I published at my college. And that's how early it was.
Yeah. And those types of platform shifts have become even more and more fast paced, right? We're seeing an acceleration at which we experience those. So we had Web 1.0, you have social, mobile, online video. Right now we've got the metaverse, crypto, and decentralized finance, as you mentioned, right? There's all these changes kind of happening so quickly that are changing the way that we interact and produce content and share that information online.
Yeah, and I think it's an opportunity to learn. I think, look, I got into the internet, then it burst, like in early 2000s, but I stayed with it because I was passionate about it, and it came back. And I think that it's not a quick thing. Like if you really want to become an expert in a niche, you got to stick with it. and put in the time and ride out what happens.
Yeah,
So that's kind of, what happened.
definitely. And what was the hardest part for you with Site Launcher as a first-time founder?
Just, I think with working by myself, like, one thing about entrepreneurship that doesn't get as much, especially when you bootstrap, is by myself. I was doing it on my own. Like I was living in a studio, working by myself at home, not around anybody. Everything was on the phone or on email. So just kind of not being part of a community culture, teammates scenario was hard. Um, and again, I think that, you know, I've I've in like I've enjoyed building a platform, which has been a lot of fun to grow an audience. There, I was kind of just help. I was more of a consultant that was helping match, you know. So, so I think that was also not. I wasn't as. It was fun to be a founder, but I really enjoyed building a platform and building a direct audience.
Yeah. So tell us more about that. What was the original origin story behind Famous Birthdays?
I felt in that mobile was coming, and when I went and I felt that like the IMDb, Wikipedia websites weren't built for mobile. So when you're not built for a platform, that's not going to be how it's initially optimized for. So I'm not as interested. I wasn't interested in celebrity culture. I'm more interested in like sports, but I knew that when you looked up a celebrity or athlete or musician on an actor on IMDb or Wikipedia on a phone, it just wasn't. It was too much info. So my initial plan was famous birthdays would be a fun site just for people to quickly learn the concise facts about traditional celebrities, the ones I thought were popular. So that was really the vision. Just let's build a fun mobile experience around learning about and discovering celebrities.
And of course, I think the biggest change that we've all seen is that it's become much more popular for online influencers, creators, right? These new class of celebrities rather than the traditional athletes, celebrity chefs, actors, musicians, right? And they're on the platform too, of course. You have that represented, but the number one on Famous Birthdays is Charlie D'Amelio.
The internal search box, which is look, I didn't have the vision to do what you just said, but I did follow the internal searches. And that's always been our North Star. What are people searching for? That's what they want to learn more about. We used to only have people on the site, but I remember people were searching for bands. And I was like, no, no, it should be about people. But that's what they were searching. And then they search it for movies and web groups. We have pets on the site. It's all based on what searched in the search box. So I saw searches in 2014 for these Vine stars, and it was I went to VidCon at the same time, and I saw all this screaming excitement for these Vine stars and YouTubers. Maybe it was 2016, and I saw that they weren't on Wikipedia or IMDb. So that was like, so I had that digital proof point of the missed searches, and then I married that with what I saw with my own eyes at VidCon, the excitement just in Anaheim for these stars. So I kind of, that's when I saw there was a real lane to be a source versus a resource. But it all came via the missed search, not via me knowing that this was going to happen.
Sure. I think those are the best stories, right? It's not us sitting around saying, "Hey, I have the perfect idea for a product or a solution." It's, let the audience tell you what they want and then just, follow that instinct. That's
Yeah,
great.
that missed search box. I always tell any founder, even if you have a B2B site, a B2C, make that internal search box on your site very accessible because it's a good UX so that people find, but you can look at that, you can look at those insights. So if you look at our mobile website, the search box is a sticky header. It's always there because we've made it such a great experience, but also that helps us see what people want to learn more about.
Yeah.
So it's looking at that, which is, and that also dictates our rankings with existing celebrities. But yeah, so that was kind of how we initially really found that there was a whole new platform that was needed on the web.
And how do you identify the information about these celebrities and influencers? Are you scouring the web and creating the profiles, amongst your team? Are you having people, kind of submit and then you verify that information kind of along the lines of the Wikipedia model?
So for the traditional stars that were already on Wikipedia and IMDb, we didn't really interact with them per se, but with the digital stars, we do. We get approval for every headshot on the platform. So we directly contact them to have them send headshots or give us approval to use their headshots. So we also get, they help with the information on the profile, but then we also learn it via our research. So, and then we have a pencil on every page because, so users can submit edits that we review. So we get a lot of submissions every day for users that want someone's profiled to help us keep it updated.
Very cool. And how is the site changing in response to some of the overall trends that are reshaping the way that we interact with social media? One of the things I'm thinking about in particular is the rise of all these new platforms, right? You have Discord, you have OnlyFans, you have Community, Clubhouse, right? What to you is the threshold for, okay, someone is a celebrity or has reached a level of influence that we should incorporate them on the platform? And how do you think about some of these new social media experiences popping up?
We have 250,000 celebrities on the platform, and I think another 30,000 entertainment, which is movies, TV shows, web groups. We've seen a lot of like collab houses, like TikTok, how like groups, web groups is a category that's grown a lot. People that produce content together. It might be twins, it might be a family, or it might be a house, or it might be, a group. So that's an area that we grow. So we just look at what users are looking for. Dub Smash grew. I remember we added people from there. Clubhouse, it's still early. I don't know. I think Clubhouse is where people go very, very deep. Like the host of 1 hour room is different than doing a 15-second TikTok video. So, but that's slowly, creating new stars there. So it's really just based on what our users are looking for and where the engagement is. We don't want to, we are, we don't like, again, we have 250,000 on the platform. So we go relatively slow based on, where the users are interested. TikTok's obviously been huge. So there's a ton of people growing a lot on TikTok that get profiled on the platform. So,
and does that also mean that now your audience is expanding more globally? I would suspect, obviously, you've got a heavy concentration in English-speaking markets, the U.S., North America. But what about overseas? Are you seeing, some international stars being included on the site?
Definitely, and that's one of the key focus areas for us is to internationalize the platform. So it's available in Spanish and Portuguese. We've already hired translators and editors in Japanese and French. So I think that our model of providing a great UX and letting the users determine what gets on the platform and making it mobile friendly will be relevant in any language. So, and we've seen, and the cool thing about it is the rankings are based natively on that language. So if you go to our Spanish platform and in the footer of our website, you can see the flag to the Spanish or the Portuguese platform, they have their own rankings. So what's interesting is like on the most famous TikTok stars in Portuguese, we see some, the Charli D'Amelio, we see some English speaking stars, but then we see some native stars that all their content is in that language, which is cool to see that mix. So I think, all these new platforms continue to grow, but it's about the creator. I think that the platforms are understanding more and more the value of the creator. Like Snapchat is, for one example, is paying all this money to creators. Obviously, like YouTube's launching shorts. Patreon raised a lot of money, which is great for creators. Cameo is another monetization option. Mm-hmm. Instagram cares about creators deeply. Their founder, another founder, head of Instagram, Adam Marcy, on a podcast said like creators are a major focus. So I think that's going to happen. And it may be that creators have multiple touch points of where they grow with their audience. We don't want to be a social network. We want to be the layer beneath that where people can learn more about and discover and stay in our lane. But going international is staying in our lane because we're still doing our core, famous birthdays. We're just, moving into other languages.
Definitely. And I love how you touched on how much the creator economy has transformed in the last, call it 5 years, right? From the emergence of Patreon kind of pioneering that patronage model, and then Cameo with shout outs and paid monetization options for creators. They have all these resources and tools now. So it's continuing to democratize that access. It's easier than ever for a creator to produce content, build an audience, and monetize that audience doing what they love, which is amazing to see.
Definitely.
How has that impacted your business, or what other shifts do you foresee in the future of the creator economy?
I think more creators are growing and making it like the more resources creator have to create content, the more followers and passion and fame they're going to grow, which is going to be more interest for them on our platform. I think one cool thing about TikTok, like with their For You algorithm, is that they've created so many stars also because their content's so concise. So if you watch a 6 minute YouTube video, you might see one or two stars, whereas on TikTok in that 6 minutes you're going to get 24. If you look at 15 seconds, like
Hmm.
you can grow. So I think that there's just a huge ocean of creators that are growing that are making it a more meaningful part or making it their career in total. And I think that look, I was surprised when I went to VidCon in 2014 with all the screaming passion that, these people weren't on Wikipedia or IMDb. And it was deserved, and we often see the link in bio are of their famous birthdays profile, which happens organically because it's where their Wikipedia page on the web. So I see it growing. I see more platforms growing. I think another trend I think will be that before it was like somebody was really big on one platform, but I think that as creators grow, they're going to be big on multiple platforms more commonly, which I think will be a good thing.
Definitely.
And obviously, to your point, the monetization is great that that's there. The last thing I'll say, there's also a focus. It's all of the major, like Zuckerberg said on a Clubhouse, that how important the creator economy is. I think that the social platforms 8 years ago, didn't prioritize or recognize how important creators are going to be to the social economy. And I think that's now table stakes.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, even the newest platforms realize they have to have a monetization strategy in place for creators. It's not enough to just say, "Hey, build a big audience," and they'll come. Brands will want to, do sponsorship deals with you. You have to have given some thought to, okay, we're going to either pay creators directly, like TikTok and Spotlight through Snapchat are doing, or you have to have some philosophy around ad monetization, tipping, right? Like Twitch has famously rolled out sponsorships and all these other kind of models for creators to monetize.
Right. Yeah. Because there's other places that they can publish their content. And I think that, and it's hard work too. I think that's another misconception. I think that having a million followers when you're in the space, it might seem that it's common, but for every one person with a million, there's tens of thousands with under 10,000. So I think that the creators have worked hard and to get where they are.
Yeah. I remember it being big news, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago when Facebook launched monetization. Everyone was saying, oh, are they going to undercut YouTube and do something more generous to creators than the 45% revenue share? And of course, they land on exactly the same revenue share as YouTube offers, most likely because they didn't want to start a race to the bottom. But in any event, maybe with more competition, we will see some downward pressure on those economics at some point, with the goal of empowering the creators to do all the amazing things that they do. But yeah, it's definitely great to see more resources and more revenue streams available to talent these days.
Right. Yeah, that 45% is for ads, but I think there's other ways to monetize, and obviously YouTube and Facebook. I mean, there's the other thing is those platforms are growing.
Hmm.
So there's more look, it's supply demand marketplace, but there's more eyeballs and more users on YouTube watching it. So that's a good thing for creators.
Definitely. What's coming next? If you had to make 3 predictions for the future of the digital media space, what would they be?
Three, that's a lot. I know it's interesting. Like I saw a report that said like the number one job creators, well, I mean, not people in high school or want it was to be a creator.
Hmm.
So I think that there's going to be a lot of different ways to be a creator and make it a business. It's not just going to be like on TikTok per se.
Yep.
It seems like there's a lot of attention and excitement around the creator economy and different ways to, be an artist and create content and make that your profession. So I think it's going to become a profession more frequently, and it's not just going to be on TikTok. That would be one. Um, Two, I think I mentioned this before. I think you're going to see more and more creators have multiple. I used to always like suggest a creator should just focus on one. We even did on famous birthdays. Like we only had a Twitter for like 4 years because I wanted to make it really good. Um, but I think that as the economy grows, you're going to see creators on multiple places. You saw Linktree, the link in bio just raised, I think, $45 million, and that's a place where creators can feature a variety of stuff. So I think that it's not going to be one platform that wins, and you're going to see less. You're going to see creators, since the economy is growing, going different places. So that would be two. And then three, I think that more traditional celebrities, it's almost going to be like full circle, where 8 years ago, creator, like on our platform, it was exciting for creators when you looked up May 12th birthdays, or you could be next to Beyonce, or you can be next to Taylor Swift. I think that over time there's going to be a switch where the traditional celebrities will be more excited to be next to the creators versus vice versa. I think that's slowly already happening. I remember J Lo like got Charlie D'Amelio in her music video, and I feel like Charlie D'Amelio was adding a lot of value for J Lo in that scenario. So I think that over time there'll be a slow, steady shift. We used to get emails. Why are you ranking these YouTube stars above singers and actors? And like we would get and there was a debate, but we always listened to a user. So we don't get that as much anymore, although we still do. So, so I think that'll slowly, uh, you know, happen, be more common.
You're right. And I've seen a lot of traditional celebrities building more of a social following, right? I mean, the canonical examples of Will Smith and Jack Black and all these others who found success on Instagram, YouTube. Dwayne The Rock Johnson has massive, success across social platforms. It's almost become an expected, part of your way that you engage with fans now as a result. If you're an actor, if you're a musician, other types of traditional celebrity, you have to be on social media. That's where people expect to see you.
And I also think that they're going to the next level to that is they also have to be producing content with the most relevant people in that space. So I think that's like when Will Smith calls, a TikToker or a YouTuber to say, can I get in your video versus other way, that's a good sign for the creator space.
Agreed. Yeah. What does the future hold for famous birthdays?
We're very focused. I think that's how we've gotten to 30 million users organically. We really prioritize a great UX. We don't focus a lot on monetization, as much as we do on the user and growing the audience. I'm excited about internationalization. Like it's going to be a fun challenge. To see our site in Japanese will be really cool. So I think that we're going to like keep making the platform better. We do a lot of things that like we spent a ton of time recently to make our platform probably like 0.01% faster. But like I knew that would help. So, we have our lane to be like the IMDb for the digital generation. And I have that commitment to just double down on that and not, chase any shiny objects to the left or right.
Yeah, don't get distracted. Focus on what you do best. Yeah.
Right. But as we've got more scale, there's been an argument to do other stuff, which makes which I can see we have an advantage in that space given our scale and our scenario. But internationalization is fun because I feel like it's an opportunity to grow in a cool way, do something challenging, but it's also very close to the core. of what we do.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, one of my favorite questions to ask people who come on the show, and I'm particularly interested in your answer, given you strike me as this serial entrepreneur who's constantly thinking about the business and thinking about the evolution of social media and its impact on traditional media, the way that the web continues to evolve. So I'm curious, taking everything you've learned along your journey, if you were to start a new business in the digital media space today, what would you do?
Great question. Whenever I have this idea, I tell other people because I'm like, other people can do it. Um, I don't know. I think there's still a lot of innovation around the whole Zoom thing. Like I think Zoom, like kind of Zoom meets Netflix. I feel like there's going to be some Zoom rooms that where the people want to watch those Zooms and the people hosting it want to share it. So I think there's going to be some more innovation around some of the technology. For creators, um, I think this is starting to happen, helping creators to get on all of the other platforms would be cool. Maybe more analytics for creators would be, especially if they're going to be all across the map, having a central place for creators to get good analytics from every channel might be cool. Um, I know live streaming is hard, so like that's grown, but then it's not. That would be interesting if that can happen. Um, And then, yeah, look, audio's been obviously interesting, like with Clubhouse, and that's growing elsewhere, which will be cool. And then, yeah, I think the monetization will get better and better. I guess the last thing I'll say is that a lot of people get annoyed when something stays on the platform to be executed. So, what I mean by that is if you want to purchase something, if you can purchase on Instagram, some people would think that's Instagram eating e-commerce, but that's going to drive more conversions and more sales for the simplicity of it. So I think that the social platforms are gonna build in more functionality so that the users don't have to leave. But I think that's going to get a lot of. I can see that getting some negativity, but I think long term that's a good thing. It's kind of like I used to tell creators, be careful to launch your own .com merch store. Just do it on Amazon. Give up some of the rev share and some of the insights, but you can check out on Amazon in one click. That's what they do. So I think that, I think more and more you're going to see more stuff baked in to the main platforms to help creators, which might, and I think getting a part of that is a good thing. So if you're an e-commerce store with an option, do I give my info to Instagram and sell my merch there, or do I try to get people to my own store? I think you'll be better served to just ride the wave. So I think that's going to happen more and more, where the platforms become an ecosystem, and that's going to long term drive more sales and usage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you touched on a lot of big themes there, right? I mean, you've got, if the West, if the East is a leading indicator for what's might potentially happening here in the West, social commerce, live video commerce is exploding. A lot of people are used to transacting through social networks or through communication apps like, WeChat drives a huge volume of shopping activity and online transactions. And I do think we can expect to see the same for Amazon as it more aggressively rolls out its advertising business, as it courts creators to drive product sales. Same is true for Instagram, right? Instagram and Facebook shopping is certainly a growth initiative for them. Even YouTube, right? With Merch Shelf for a long time now, they've announced digital products can be supported just this year. There's a lot of potential there. I guess where I kind of push back a little bit is there's always concerns as a creator that you don't want to give away your audience to someone else, right? So you're building your audience on Instagram, you're building your audience on YouTube. At the end of the day, they own the subscriber, they own the follower. It certainly is much harder to build your business organically without those platforms. But I think, yeah, leverage them as reach and distribution. But then if you can find a way to build your own audience, or own that relationship with your customer, then you can find more and more ways to build that relationship and monetize it over time.
And it sounds great in hindsight, but is it better to have 1 million followers on YouTube and 50 people that you can directly contact? And I think so that so that's where I'll push back. And also, I think the way to do that is to go on multiple platforms too. So that's a hedge in itself. And as we've talked about, the platforms are prioritizing creators more. So, I always get that in a perfect world, it's better to get people to buy your stuff on your site directly. But I think riding the wave and focusing on what you do great is the best way to, really see how well you can grow.
Totally, right? I mean, for a lot of, if you were a e-commerce brand, you wouldn't want to not be on Amazon. You wouldn't want your products to not be in Target or Walmart just because the distribution, the reach is incredible, right? Even if it means, okay, we're going to take a hit on margin, you want to be in those places. The same is true for Instagram and, TikTok and everything else. You want that kind of digital shelf space to an extent. I think what's interesting is looking at how it's changing for like news publishing and journalism. So you look at the rise of like Substack, Review, which Twitter acquired, Memberful, all these platforms that make it possible for people to, as an independent thinker, journalist, build a newsletter database and then monetize that through subscriptions. And there's been a movement in that world to say, no, the author should own the subscriber relationship, right? Not Substack, not, Memberful, whatever.
Right. No, and I think that's, Substack has been, and like patrons, like, been like doing that for video. I think, I also think that a real key for the creator economy is how much the platforms are saying and making actions based on prioritizing creators. And I think that's huge because if you have six major platforms prioritizing creators, that gives creators a lot of leverage, to make sure that they're going to be, catered to, and they have other places to go, and there's going to be tools built for them. So, I don't know. Yeah, I just think platforms offer a wave of technology, innovation, and scale, and I think that's how. I just think that's usually a good place to continue if you're scaling on there.
Definitely. 100% for sure. Well, Evan, where can people find out more about you and more about Famous Birthdays?
Well, let me ask you a question. Can I ask you
Yeah,
this
no,
one question?
please. Go
Let me
ahead.
ask give me your two or three predictions, then I'll say where you can find me. So give
Okay,
me your two or three predictions that I haven't touched on.
sure.
It's harder because I went over a lot. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. So, gosh, I think, the audio is continuing to grow. So I'm a big fan. I mean, I've been podcasting for 6+ years. We've got this trend towards smart assistants, smart speakers. Obviously, audio is the latest content format everyone's going nuts for in the social ecosystem. It's going to be a knockout, drag-out fight to see who wins. Clubhouse has got an uphill battle ahead of it, given the competition. But it's really more about like finding what's the most engaging user experience. I think whoever nails discovery in the way that TikTok has, where it's like, okay, if I can go into an audio platform, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's Twitter Spaces, whether it's one of the three competitors that Facebook is launching, then do they immediately surface a conversation with either people I know or people I'm interested in following? If that's a business icon like an Elon Musk or Mark Cuban, is that some sort of influencer that I follow that I'm excited to learn from. I need to be in a room within 10 seconds that I'm excited about, I'm listening to. There's can't miss content. So I'm very excited about audio and what's going to play out in that space. In the creator economy more broadly, I think there's this massive movement towards fintech. Creator fintech is really interesting. A lot of companies have raised around that recently. Carrot, Stir, you've got Juice that just launched, and they're doing the fund with Mr. Beast. All these other influencers are launching funds to invest in the next generation of creators and creator businesses, which is awesome. And what's a third prediction? I guess at Paladin and Measure Studio, what we're most excited about is this move away from just delivering insights to someone. Okay, here's your analytics repackaged, and here you go. More towards prescriptive recommendations. So some of the things we're thinking a lot about is benchmarking, right? Locally to start against your own content, but eventually globally. Hey, how am I doing for sports content that reaches males 18 to 34 in the US, right? Where do I rank in the percentile? What can I be doing to improve it, both within the content itself and harnessing, machine learning and computer vision to say, hey, these types of posts really resonate with your audience and this stuff could be improved. So from a tech standpoint, leveraging some of these new technologies is a really exciting way to help these creators produce better and better content and lean into the awesome audiences that they're building.
That makes sense. Cool. No, that was awesome. So, oh yeah. So where can they find me? So I'm on LinkedIn, and then I'm on Twitter, Evan _Britton on Twitter. And then, yeah, obviously our platform, Famous Birthdays, is great. Our everything, it's a great experience where you can, learn more, and our rankings are published there. So that's where people can find the platform.
Awesome. Very good. Well, I definitely encourage people to stop by and check out the site, and then, of course, connect with you on LinkedIn and Twitter. And Evan, thanks again for taking the time. I'm so excited to get a chance to chat with anyone who's, been early in the web space and early in the creator economy. It's so fun to get to talk about where it's going and where it's been. So thanks again.
I appreciate you having me. I really enjoyed the talk.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm James Creech, and this has been another edition of All Things Video. If you like what you hear, we hope you'll share and subscribe for new episodes. See you next time.